All right, I'm here with my dear friend Ceibo. Cheers, buddy.
Salud.
We are in Guiones, Nosara, on the Pacific coast of Costa Rica, and today wanted to discuss homesteading a bit. A lot of times I talk about community retreat center stuff, but Ceibo here is a buddy who's taught me a lot about a subject which was really the reason I came out here 20 years ago. Was I wanted to create a home for me and my family. um, I got kind of caught up in big projects, built community retreat center, and about 15 years later, I started building my home, my garden. It wasn't at first a place that I bought. It was a rental home, but I started gardening. I started making sure my compost was set, and then I started visiting Ceibo out here in Nosara, seeing him set up a real professional homestead on his farm that's off grid and had a lot of the elements that drew me to Costa Rica, to be resilient, to be self sustained. And I wanted to record a video for people on that because I think, if anything, just getting set up in another country or even in the US, somewhere where you could tend the land, steward the land, and have it provide for you as you provide for it, that relationship to me is fundamental. It's like base level. So um, that's the convo for today. But first, Sabo, tell us a little bit about you, my dude. Cheers.
Cheers, buddy. So I've been here for about 12 years. And I moved down here because I love the climate, I love the temperature, and obviously I like the tropics.
Mm.
There's something about the plants here in Costa Rica they grow really fast. So if you cut a banana plant the next day, there'll be a few inches of growth coming out of it. So it's not like a hardwood forest where it's kind of slow growing, quiet. It's very activating here.
The jungle just sprouts life.
The jungle just sprouts life, yeah. And also where we live, we have a lot of tourists coming and going.
Mm.
So it has this sort of transient frequency.
Yeah.
You know, we're here all the time, but then the tourists are coming and going. The plants are growing fast. We have this very powerful Pacific Ocean right next to it. It's very activating.
And you were the one who introduced me. I mean, I've read books on homesteading, but like actually seeing people build root cellars, which are basically refrigerators underground that work with nature's natural cooling system. Um, let's define the term homesteading, because originally I was like, Sabo, let's do man camp. Like, I'm a
Yeah.
guy from the city. I don't know how to work with my hands and chop
Yeah.
wood, and but it's not about man or woman. It's really, there's everything from canning foods, building fires, growing your food, your chickens. I mean, it's a huge subject matter.
It's a big subject matter.
But how do you define it for you, like in a basic way for people?
Yeah, for homesteading, and the contrast between this sort of activating environment is settling in, getting settled.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of homesteading is sort of, in some ways, we're always trying to feel grounded, you know. We get really activated here. So homesteading is kind of settling in. It's creating sort of a steadiness, a steady home.
I like
And a
that.
steady home could just be literally the house is organized,
Yeah.
you know. Things are sort of in order and it creates like a steadiness.
Right.
Another way we could look at homesteading is just we're growing our own food. We're using water that's coming from a source nearby. We know the source of the water, and we create an environment that is steady related to our resilience and our sort of previous attachments to the system.
Mm. And one thing I wanted to note is how slow Sabo goes with everything he does. You've owned this farm for
I've had the farm for about 7 years.
7 years.
Yeah.
And remind me the size again, I always forget.
The primary finca that I'm homesteading is 35 hectares.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Um,
But actually, the part that I'm
Mhm.
homesteading within that 35 is probably like 10 hectares.
okay, in
you know,
acres?
or less. Yeah, maybe 20 to 30 acres or something
Got it.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so the main thing that I saw that I love, because I do it also in my line of work when building any kind of project, is go slow. And you've gone super slow, and you're like, oh, like we're walking a path, and you're like, oh, this could be a good path to go there. But no, maybe we take this path, and I see you start
Yeah.
laying out rocks, and kind of intuitively, saying, okay, over here should be the shala, over here I'll put my home. You kind of master plan, which is often done like a property plan with architects and
Yeah.
engineers. You do it first round barefooted, just walking and feeling for a long time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, tell me about the slowness of this all, because I feel like everyone's in such a rush to build their survival plan, but
Things can go pretty relatively fast here if there's a lot of capital being put into it.
yeah,
But if you're kind of relying on a, a certain budget, um, that's part of it. Also, just life, curveballs, something happens in your life that slows you down from doing that project or takes you off that project onto something else.
Yeah.
The music project is an example of that. Is getting really focused on music
mm-hmm.
and then bringing less focus on the homestead. So you kind of have to balance that out. But in general, where I'm building this homestead is up in the mountains.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to get to.
I love
You've been
yeah, bumpy road.
bumpy road. It's only 30 minutes from Nosara, but it's not super easy to get to for like workers in the rainy
Mhm.
season trying to get up there to complete, part of the project or
Yeah.
something. Putting a roof on in the rainy season super challenging, and so part of it's just the natural challenges. Makes the project seem longer.
Right. Right.
But also, I have been going really slow with it and watching the elements, seeing where the water's running, having to
Mm.
making a lot of shifts.
Yeah.
Especially up in the mountains, there's so much water cruising through the mountains, so you really have to design it in a way that's going to be efficient and not flood out an area or
Yeah, start
you
to
know.
see how water moves on the land, how
Yeah.
wind moves. And so that's a good question, a good point, by the way, which is let's start super basic. You said some of the points,
Mhm.
which is I moved to Costa Rica 20 years ago, and yeah, I wanted a resilient life. And so there was a few elements for me, food security, water security, physical security, like
Yes.
meaning I had a place where I felt safe to live, um, energy, okay, and yeah, and obviously nature and environment that I felt good and thriving in. But if I go through the basics and I see you have a property with springs, a well, you're able to extract water, you're able to store water, have it potable, piped. You can grow your own food.
Mhm.
You can have solar or wind energy pretty easily.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you start to look at the list. What are some of the, like, am I missing anything? Are there any, like, what are the major elements we're talking about here?
Yeah, there's also, you mentioned earlier about fermenting or dehydrating,
Food storage and
food
preservation.
storage, preserving foods.
Yeah.
There's a certain time of year, kind of like the winter time in the States or up north, where it's just raining nonstop and plants and herbs aren't really growing. The fruit
Okay.
trees, the perennials will grow pretty consistently,
Yeah.
but there's kind of a time of the year here where it's super rainy, October, November,
Right.
September, part of September, where it would be nice to have preserved foods,
Yeah.
beans, rice, dehydrated fruits, ferments.
I would love to learn how
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah,
Like love,
definitely.
like canning, because I grow a lot
Canning
of
as
food,
well,
but
yeah.
so much of it, as you know, goes right back in the compost or I gift
Right.
it to people. But to
Exactly.
be able to preserve foods in like a really organized place, to
Yeah.
preserve seeds, to have everything,
Exactly.
hunky
exactly.
dory.
And it's kind of about getting back to basics.
Mm.
What happens if the water in with the municipality gets cut off or something, which happens
That's amazing.
pretty often
Yeah.
here. The water's off. So you have to have a storage tank. And when you're in town, in order to pressurize the water into the home, you have to have a pump.
Right.
The pump is relying on electricity.
Oh, yep.
The electricity goes out all the time here, pretty often. It's
Yeah.
pretty stable, but it's also not very stable.
Right.
So, if the electricity gets cut off, the water gets cut off, you're kind of like reliant on the system.
So you have a solar pump? Or
So
how does the
I have a
pump-
solar pump
yeah.
on the farm. I have a solar pump.
Oh, cool. Okay,
Yes.
so the pump pumps the water, pressurizes it. If you don't have energy, you have a solar panel, basically, a solar system.
Yeah, so I have a year-round spring, water
Mhm.
and I have it kind of walled off, so it has about 25,000 liters in it at any
Right.
given time. And then I have a submersible pump in there
Okay,
that is connected to solar panels.
beautiful.
It's not that big,
Yeah.
And then it gets pumped up to some bigger storage tanks that gravity feed it down into the homestead.
Cool, very cool. So that you always
Yeah.
have good running water. And do you have any place, because I've heard people talk about solar, but also micro hydro, like small scale hydro. Do you have enough water running on your property to do hydro somewhere, or?
No, I tried to do a ram pump
Yeah,
one time, and I couldn't get it to work. There wasn't enough flow, like you
got it,
said,
got it.
to keep that thing, to give it enough power to pump up to those storage tanks.
Right,
So I tried it for sort of several months. I had one made, brought it here, it didn't work, so I ended up going the solar route.
got it.
And it was just so powerful and quick to pump the water up.
Yeah.
It's been pretty good.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
for one cool thing that I like is, yeah, off grid is fun and amazing. And also, if you have electricity nearby, go tap into it. We live in a country where our electricity is mostly made off of renewables, 96%.
Mhm.
So I like that for your main house, you have electricity on grid and off grid.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
off grid, solar, and would you consider wind? Or is that a little
Possibly when it's
serious?
windy a certain time of the year.
Yeah.
But right now I'm just relying on the solar for the pump.
Okay.
And then I have my electricity connected to a neighbor,
Mhm.
their meter, and I'm renting the electricity from the neighbor. So I'm not on the
Cool.
municipality. And that's until I get the solar system installed.
Yeah, and you mentioned neighbor,
Yeah.
by the way, but I think in Costa Rica in general, and especially in rural areas like this, I learned from Leap Forward, a community I'm a part of, really quickly that what I considered resilience, and it's okay, like it's what I thought, like, eco-village model where we all have to live behind a wall and we have all of our stuff here and we take care of each other. Um, and that's really cool, and I'm not knocking in any way any kind of gated community or eco-village. But the point is that regardless of whether you live in that kind of setup or not, if it came down to it and things started, natural disaster, resilience is really integration with the local community, integrated cooperation between neighbors, take care of your brothers and sisters. And I see everybody in your area, and there's the little family across the street that has the little coffee thing. And that for me is a really cool and critical aspect of when I observe your life and admire certain things. I'm like, wow, Ceibo is really connected to his neighbors. He's not some gringo. You help people, they help you, and outside of anything in your homestead, I know everyone thinks like they have to survive alone in a silo and have their bunker and all this crazy shit and live out in Wyoming and New Zealand, but they forget that if something goes down, like you need your neighbors. You're not going to
Yeah.
survive out there alone. So I just wanted to mention that as like people are watching this, that for me that's critical, like number one step, and
Yeah, have good
obviously
neighbors.
tie up your camel with all the water and electric.
Yeah, take care of
security.
relationships with the neighbors and support each other as much as possible. My main thing going into the homestead
Mm.
was it was like a challenge for me, to see if I could create a setup or a homestead that didn't rely on external factors.
Right.
The municipality, electricity, water,
Yeah.
all the things that we might rely on, the food source also. So
Yeah.
even though we'll still go to a grocery store or the organic market, once a week or
Sure.
something, sometimes if we need to. But in general, it's pretty easy to live on grid. You just
Hmm.
go to your sink
Hmm.
and you have or you filter the water. You
You
got
don't
your
think when it
stove
comes,
right
right,
there.
yeah,
You got your
yeah.
fridge. It's actually pretty easy. I think living homestead style is pretty challenging at first, but it requires getting steady, getting
Hmm.
into a rhythm
Right.
to where, okay, you got things dialed, you have everything organized in place, you have your wood burning devices if you need to cook something.
Talk about your wood burning devices really quick. You have two that blow my mind, the two ovens.
I have two. One is a cooking stove in a space that's about a meter high and about a meter wide, almost triangular,
Mm.
and it has 3 or 4 cooktops, and you just feed it wood. It has a
Awesome.
glass window in the front so you can see the light coming through. It's really nice at night.
Yeah, so you have a full oven and also the burners for the skillet on wood.
Yeah, everything's cookable on wood. And then I have in the casita, which is just a small little cabin you went up to.
Mhm.
Yesterday we went up there maybe. I have a smaller cooking stove, wood burning stove for cooking on top. Just having fires, it gets kind of chilly up there sometimes at night in Saragossa.
And by the way, I do want to say, I think that sometimes when people hear about homesteading and permaculture and living on the land, they think of like some hippie shit that's like not comfortable. You're for me like the perfect balance of like comfort and ecology,
Yeah.
and it's a luxurious. It's not a huge home because that's not really what you needed, but the quality, the wood, is the sexiest cabin I've seen in a while, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing, and it's so minimal. That yeah, for me that's the real wealth. Like, oh, you know where your water comes from. You have your cabin, and here where we are in Nosara, unfortunately, it's a lot of overdevelopment, mega mansions, and you could have built one big house. But what I loved is you have your cabin, you have your kind of bathhouse, outhouse
Hmm.
with the sauna and the cold plunge and the shower. You have
I
your
don't have the
yoga
cold
shop.
plunge.
Oh, what is it? A hot tub?
It's a hot tub. I
It's
guess
a
it
hot
could
tub.
be a cold plunge
It
though.
could be a Luke plunge.
Yes, and that's the other wood burning device on the
Oh
sauna
yeah,
and the
wood
hot
burning
tub.
sauna.
The hot tub is made out of some stone and it's more
Yeah.
natural materials. The sauna is made. It's got a concrete shell with a
Mm.
cedar wood inside with a wood burning stove, and so it is sort of a luxurious vibe to it, but it's simple.
And it's all kind of in little zones on the property, which is nice. It's horizontal. The
Yeah.
same amount of bedrooms that a mansion could have, you could have your living room, in my opinion, is the yoga shala. It's a separate structure.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of like a living room shala. You have your bedroom, you have your kind of bathhouse area, you have your root cellar and this. And so, yeah, it's just a floor plan kind of spread out. And sure,
Exactly.
if there are more friends or something that come, you can build more rooms as cabins, but it's
Yeah.
lighter touch on the land than one big house.
Yeah.
And also, I guess Americans, like, I look at things where I need like plush walls and everything sealed, and I noticed you were cool, and I liked it with certain areas also being more rustically finished. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be like,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of it's like you said, it has a nice vibe to it. It's all natural materials, but you can live really comfortably off grid once the systems are set up,
right.
and I think that the idea, and I learned this in permaculture, was to maximize hammock time.
Yeah, talk about
So,
that. What does that mean?
well, maximizing hammock time, basically, that came from, I heard that from a permaculture school in Costa Rica called Punta Mona. And Stephen Brooks would always say, uh, we're here to maximize hammock time. So we
Mm.
plant plants that don't require a lot of maintenance. Really, the focus is on perennials, fruit trees that are growing around the farm that are kind of doing things on their own. You don't have to really do a lot for
Mm-hmm.
them. You can provide some natural organics, also some fertilizer that's natural, things like that every now and then. But a lot of times you can kind of let them go.
Yeah. Well, I saw that about you. I know about permaculture from Steven and from other people from Punta Mona. I went a while ago, and the one thing I like is that, I have my intensive garden, but once I set up the fruit trees, the bananas, the chop and drop, and I'm a Jewish kid from New York. It's not like just plant the stuff, I see it, but yeah, once it establishes, it takes care of itself, and it is really hands off. Yeah, my little area with my arugula and lettuce, sure,
Yeah,
gotta watch that, keep
exactly,
it steady.
exactly.
But what's cool is that you have all these fruit trees that are kind of taking care of themselves.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
they're pretty much taking care of themselves. It definitely requires maintenance.
Yeah.
You've really got to watch things, and there's also the succession plan of planting fruit trees and the natural trees around them. And when those fruit trees get a little bit bigger, you can start pruning the bigger trees. So there's this sort of succession planning.
Mm.
Sometimes cutting down a tree is necessary in order to bring more light and
Mm.
airflow to your fruit trees. So we try to just prune most of the time to get that
Yeah.
light. And there's some palm trees that we'll probably take out to bring more light in there that aren't from this area.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
the idea is to really grow your food forest out so that you're pumping out your diet that you're on,
Mm.
and you can just go out and harvest if you need to. And there's different seasons here also, so it's kind of getting back to basics. And for me, I've lived down here in Playa Guiones for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and I sort of feel sometimes attached to this bubble that I live in.
Mm.
I have my sound journeys that I do. I have the little grocery store that I go to the beach,
Yeah.
and I have my friends here. So going up to the farm and getting fully off grid
Mm-hmm.
and being there full time is
Mm.
a little bit challenging. So it's nice to kind of be able to split the time a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that was nice for me the other day when we went because, yes, I love it here on the beach and I have my friends and community, but just going up there and kind of like the altitude, the feeling of the Tibet
Yeah.
pristineness, the cold air, I felt like, yeah, like like really on a retreat, even for a day. Um, and I like that it's, a lot of people here, I know Costa Ricans have their cabina on the beach, and no matter what their wealth, they have some mountain shack or cabin, and it's cool to have a retreat for yourself. It's
Yeah.
freaking amazing, you
Yeah.
know.
Exactly.
Um,
It's amazing, and it's also the root of all of it. For me, obviously, being in nature is so important for our physical, mental, emotional bodies. Being in nature as much as possible,
yeah,
and then also the mission is to be self-sustainable, more resilient, regenerating the land, uh, creating a regenerative way of living, meaning we continue to make the food, we continue to have the clean water coming in, and we're also in sunshine and
mm,
rain on the earth barefooted, breathing that fresh mountain air, and it's
yeah,
really a nourishing, healing environment to be in.
yeah.
So that's kind of also part of the mission, you
I
know?
like that you're barefoot. I know, like for me, it's sometimes uncomfortable because I step on stuff, but you really do get grounded. It's not some like hippie thing. Like, yes, you stand on the earth, and there's science and
Yeah.
electricity and magnetism. It just makes I had so much nervous energy in me, and it just kind of.
hmm It just feels good to be barefooted. When you have shoes on, you're not using all those muscles,
Mm,
and you're not also activating those different nerves as much
mm,
because you're in those shoes.
yeah,
So when you're walking barefooted, you just get all that you need just from the pressure of being connected to the ground, like you said, just that circuit
yeah,
going through. The sun heats up the earth and is charged, electrically charging the earth. So when we're barefooted, it's circuiting more effectively
yeah.
through
Beautiful.
us. The sun has healing qualities.
I've heard such things.
So we can
Yeah.
either be directly in the sun or we can also soak it up from the ground.
Oh, cool. I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it heats the ground up and.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
radiating.
Yeah, I feel like one thing I do want to mention too is it's a huge luxury obviously to have your own farm and etc. But again, I want to mention something that I shared in the beginning is I've lived here for 20 years and yes, I wanted to own land, but I also saw how much of like there was this like inner insatiability. I have to find my property, especially me. I help people build projects. And I have rented a house for years that I could rent for the rest of my life and be just as happy. And my friend said, "Wow, but you're planting fruit trees on the land that you don't own." And I'm like, "Buddy, like we die, we turn to ashes. Like while I'm here, I've planted these fruit trees and they're already giving me fruit. And I started with berries and bananas and things that were quicker. But I don't think you necessarily have to own land. I've seen people do gorgeous community gardens in New York where
Yeah.
I'm from in Battery Park. Like it's not all like for, I'd say the rich and famous who can go buy
Yeah.
a Montana ranch. I think in any home you can practice aspects of homesteading and resilience, and the feeling is really crazy because I don't know, my electricity went out for 4 days due to a big issue where like a transformer blew out, and I'm like, cool, like I have water, I can boil my water if I need extra filtration, but I have like I have a gravity fed filter, I have a lot of food growing. I'm like, from a survival perspective, yeah, our water pump needs to have a solar thing on it. That was the only thing we don't have. But I have fire, I have food, I have water, I have good neighbors. I'm not going to get a gun because I don't believe in killing people. If it gets to that level, like, I'm out.
Yeah.
And I got my wood burning sauna coming, which, yeah, it's a luxury, but to me, it's not. I saved up for it. It's, for me, the
Yeah.
hugest thing to be able to have a stressful day and detox my body. I'm Russian. My family has done this since, my grandpa and grandpa's grandpa. So, um, certain things that people consider luxuries, I don't think, like, I don't see you with a Ferrari outside or anything, but yeah, you have a simple one bedroom cabin and you built your sauna, you know?
Yeah.
And if energy goes out, that feeling of I got myself, man, the main human fear is survival,
Right.
shelter, food,
Right.
and to actually not depend on a city, like, oh, I I gotta turn this faucet
Yeah,
and hope that the
exactly.
mayor has the water hooked up.
And kind of going back to what you were saying earlier
Yeah.
about the owning land versus not owning land, you know, I don't even really feel like I own the land. You know, I feel like I'm more of kind of this sort of visitor
Hmm.
that's kind of helping to create his own way of living inside this sort of wilderness area.
Yeah.
You know, so I
That's
feel like I'm
beautiful.
more stewarding in some ways. I really mainly feel like a visitor.
I love that, dude.
Yeah,
Visitor.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I've sort of like homesteading into this little visitor center,
Hmm.
you know, kind of vibe. And
Yeah.
also, in terms of other people not owning land, they can still accomplish the sustainability aspect of it,
Hmm.
meaning they're not reliant on municipality water, municipality, the grid,
Yeah.
the grocery stores, even the organic markets,
Mm-hmm.
is a reliance on a market that gets food from other places.
Yeah.
We're believing that the source is good and that
Yeah.
they're actually organic, you know, but it's not quite the source yet,
Right.
you
Right.
know. So growing our own food and that kind of thing is going right to the source. But if you don't own land, then I think you can still accomplish that sort of sustainable, regenerative, sovereign sort of living,
Hmm.
just by having connections with other people that have land.
Hmm.
You know, really investing in your area, wherever you live, just getting to know those people.
I
Because,
love that.
including myself, I would love to have some visitors come out and stay on my farm.
Yeah.
That would want to kind of learn more about this, or they want to um, be in the mountains for a little bit. It's super helpful for me to have people out helping. You know.
Yeah, we've talked about that for a while because you used to do
Yeah.
the garden tours here, and I think people want to learn this. So to be like, I feel privileged that I get to go out, and also, yeah, like you said, find friends who have farms. I was like, oh, my friend has a farm. I don't own that many acres, but
You're a
man,
great example of that.
yeah, I just get to
Yeah.
enjoy it with you and learn.
Yeah.
And obviously, I give what I know, or if there's some physical labor, like yesterday, we had to move some boxes. So it's an exchange, but I feel I reap the full benefits of that just visiting you. And I think I would bring people out there in a second to see how you live and help
Yeah.
show them some things that they could take home and maybe even not take home. I mean, you have a lot of land. I never, we've talked about it privately. I've never asked you publicly about kind of the legacy of that land and if you really want people on it, community or something like, you know, mostly I've seen now you've set the example of how one could live on a piece of that much larger land.
Yeah.
How do you feel about inviting others there?
Well, one of the things that they talk about in permaculture are the different zones, you know?
Yeah.
So you have zones that are sort of wild zones, like the forest, that don't require any sort of maintenance, and it kind of goes into maybe orchard, zone 4, and then 3. Zone 3 would be something like some of your fruit trees and some of the plants or fruit trees that require more maintenance, and then there's the herb garden, which
Mhm.
requires more maintenance at probably zone 2. So you're working sort of inward into the kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
which would be zone 1, the
Mhm.
kitchen area. But taking a step further back from that is really starting more like from the heart space. So for me, my mission has been to create this homestead and really learn and understand deeply how it all works. It's taking so long, but uh, then I can kind of go from there, you know? So I'm not like in 1 year planning this big retreat center, hiring the people, putting it in, and then activating. That's also okay, you know, because sometimes
Beautiful.
that vision comes through people and they want
Or
to.
changes.
For me, it's just been like years, just slowly going into it, and also other things kind of happening in my life that maybe took me off track from that for a while and then coming back to it. So I think that what I do know is I need community. I need people. I've kind of went through a hermit stage for a few
You
years.
definitely did.
And yes, I know for a fact that I need people, I need community, and it would be so cool to have some people that were interested in permaculture, or it doesn't even have to be permaculture, just homesteading.
Yeah.
I'm really more directing my sort of perspective with homesteading.
Yeah, and also people can come up there for daytime experiences. You do sound journeys,
Yeah.
you know, things
Yeah.
like that. So I think it's not even to start a retreat, bring people there to experience it for the
Just
day.
be out in nature, see how to live off grid, Maybe experience a sound journey.
We should do some kind of
Maybe
like,
like an incredible organic meal and a sound journey. Do a hike on the land, check out the
yeah,
different areas, and just
yeah.
chill out up there for a bit.
That would be fun to organize. I think like a cool experience with you.
Yeah, definitely.
And one question just on something you said. So you said you went through kind of a hermit period, and so did I. But we hung out like two hermits hanging out. Does that make it a
Yeah.
hermitage?
Yeah,
Is that what they
exactly.
call it?
Exactly. We
Hermitage.
are hermitages.
Hermitages. I read a thing that I'm an outrovert. I'm like an introverted extrovert. I love community, and then I need my like.
You really do. You're really either kind of pretty far out into it or retreating, sometimes waffling in the middle a little bit.
Sometimes it's so funny. It's
You're
like
definitely on a spectrum.
I'm definitely on the spectrum. I came here like talking about community and festivals and community. I was drinking so much Kool-Aid. Now I live alone in the mountains, and
Yeah.
yet I have abundant community, and I go visit
Yeah.
them and I interact with them. But it's different than what I thought. That's why it's taken me 20 years to even figure out what I want. Oh, I want to live on top in Ceibo, and no, I want to be here. And the other day I told Ceibo, I was like, man, I have like two like very close friends in this country, you and my community at Leap Forward and Talia, and I'm like, I want to be around my people. I don't need to be alone on the tallest mountain
Yeah.
in Costa Rica. I do have friends there and all that,
Right.
but yeah, it's taken me a while, and this is my line of work to figure out, yeah, what do I really want and what do I need? And one of my friends pointed out like the things that are on like your vision board in the past that I heard, like you actually live that way now.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of paused, and I'm like, all right, like I was saying, like, I have my house, I have my garden, I don't own it, but like, yeah, like, go slow. Like, what else do I really need and
Yeah,
want?
exactly, exactly.
So,
And also, just to be transparent with the people watching this, also, is I've lived down in Playa Guiones for 10 years, working on this homestead for the last 7, but I haven't moved up there full time yet.
right.
So I'm sort of in transition. So I've been kind of splitting time. And now we just moved in yesterday to the cabin at the farm. So I'm going to be spending more time there. But I think that over the years, I've just heard a lot of external systems and ways of doing things.
Yeah.
And whether it's permaculture or biodynamics, or there's lots of new sort of developing systems
Mm-hmm.
for off-grid living. And it's really just kind of getting back to basics, and it's getting common sense, you know?
Mm.
Because you can see two plants that you planted too close together and you realize, oh, I need to give them more space and react.
Yeah.
That's the response, is giving more space, you know?
Hmm.
It's the same thing like in a citrus tree. If you have limbs that are crossing each other inside, you want to give
Mhm.
them more space, so you trim this out to give more air,
Okay.
light,
Okay.
space. And it's really what we need as humans. We need
Mm.
sunlight, we need spaciousness,
Yeah.
we need silence sometimes, and we need energy to regenerate and to work the land, and
Yeah, it's a good point that you mentioned that like you did it over time. You went from corporate life to living in the jungle, working. It's not like you could just go homestead. Like, yeah, you have a job, you do your job, you're doing
Yeah.
this project as you can. So I think also not the pressure of like rushing or this, and then when you're able to and ready, like which is now,
Yeah.
yeah, you move there, you give it more life. So I think also going slow, I work. I'm not like a
Exactly.
retired hippie farmer. Like, nothing wrong with that if I would be one day. But at the moment, I work and I do what I can.
Exactly.
I compost my coffee grounds and other things.
You can live in a apartment in a city, and you can have hopefully a little sunny spot. Put your kitchen herbs,
Mm,
and just that little connection with going out and picking those herbs when you're making something in the kitchen is so nice, you know.
yeah.
So I mean, there's so many people that aren't able to get to land, they can't buy land, they can't connect with people that own land, and they live in cities and they're kind of doing their thing.
Yeah, we were saying, yeah.
So it's like an encouragement to everyone to just have a few plants if possible, even indoor plants.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of watch the indoor plants, how they're kind of responding to a certain amount of sunlight coming through the window, and you might have to move it over. So it's like you're learning how plants work.
Yeah.
At that kind of scale, and it's kind of nice.
So, I got my buddy a plant in New York City, my buddy Darius, and it's a funny thing to give a bro a plant. I'm like, here you go, bro. I got you a plant. It's this money treat,
Oh, he loved it.
Man, he sent me a photo of it in the sunshine, and what's funny is I know when the sunshine hits the leaf of a plant and it glows, you could be in the middle of an email and you see that or whatever, and you're like, whoa, that's life force, that's prana, God, whatever word. So there's something about tending just a house plant that's incredible.
Yeah, I think playing with houseplants, not playing with them, but curating or caring for, you
Yeah,
know, I think it brings some it slows your brain waves down.
right.
It kind of creates, it's almost meditative in a way when you're working with plants. It's good for your
Mm,
nervous system, you know. So it's healing just in that aspect of it to
yeah,
have plants, even little herbs in your apartment, you know.
definitely. I think we should do more of these talks and start going into kind of one by one, the food systems and canning, the permaculture, the different, we talked yesterday, syntropic versus permaculture, but let's go, step by step on this journey with people, just on the basics, like things anyone can do.
Hmm.
Because I feel like all the time people are asking me these questions more than questions about retreat centers or eco villages. That's cool, and that's like people reach out to me all the time, but majority of people just want to learn how to get their home going, you
Yeah,
know.
exactly. And there's also this one thing I just wanted to add to that, Ed, is this thing on permanence, the scale of permanence. We can maybe talk about that in one of the episodes or one of the.
Well, introduce it a bit, because
Yeah.
now you said it and you got me
Yeah, so
peaked.
the scale of permanence. If you just concrete, for example, a concrete structure is pretty permanent.
Yeah.
Planting a jackfruit tree or also an avocado tree
Hmm.
is also kind of permanent.
Hmm.
They get really big, they become canopy trees.
Got it.
Unless you prune them down and you can also work with them that way. So we're working with a scale of permanence. So with the farm and the slow developing, curating of that farm,
Mm-hmm.
I only have the one cabin, little music space in that bathhouse right now. It took a while, but I didn't put like a lot of concrete in there. So it's just wood, so it can
Right.
be, it's not so permanent.
Right.
Also, there's a permanence of spending a lot of money, taking a lot of energy to create all these projects that it feels more permanent because you're putting so much money into it. So you
Yeah.
want to also be careful not to spend too much,
Mm.
you know?
And over time, I saw you didn't just whack a bunch of money at it. You did this structure, that
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because even if you had a ton of money or something and you could put a huge amount of money into something,
I've seen that fail here, yeah.
it happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to be careful of that also.
I saw a buddy have it like planted like 80 acres of food forest in one shot, and it had like 70 or 80% of the trees died.
Exactly.
It's just so fast, so big. I know we're like used to that, like, oh, okay, we could just scale this, but no.
Yeah,
Over
exactly.
time,
And once again, it's like creating a steady home, homesteading.
Mm.
So you don't have to worry about your finances so much. You've
Yeah.
got things systems set up to where you're creating some energy exchange that way, whether it's from the farm or whether it's from music or whatever it could
yeah.
be. You're creating some revenue to come in to support the projects and to just be good stewards of keeping things organized, simple,
Mm.
and basic. Not having too many things that require energy from you.
Yeah. I
So
love
to
that.
me, this is like the master key
Mm.
is organization, simplicity, and just easygoing. Not too much that creates like a reaction that creates a lot
Chaos,
of
yeah.
chaos. Exactly.
I love that. And again, like, if some of this stuff starts to interest you and you want to get into it, there's in New York City CSAs you could volunteer for. You could go upstate New York, and almost anywhere you can go and start to have these experiences and get a taste of some of this way of life. And if you have land, doesn't matter if you have the tiniest little lawn, you could do so much with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we'll get into more of this. This was awesome.
Yeah,
I
it's so
enjoyed
fun,
this.
man. I loved it.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Great, Ceibo. Thank you. We'll put some info when this is published about your project, about you, for people who want to learn more about this, and we'll keep these chats going.
Yeah, we're going to be doing some workshops,
Great.
like you said, some primitive skills workshops, whether it's fire making,
Excellent.
basket weaving,
I'll say that again. Primitive skills workshops. I need that.
primitive skills workshops, walking into the forest, barefooted, connecting with water sources,
Mm.
Just maybe, not to overuse the word permaculture, but some permaculture systems that are kind of simple, that are easy to share in a workshop setting.
Yeah, and
You
I want to learn how to build fire properly. Like a lot of the basics, I don't know. How to use certain tools, even like you helped me open a coconut with a cleaver. That's cool.
Exactly. Yeah, how to utilize the food on the land in different ways,
Yeah.
dehydrating or fermenting or
By the way, this is definitely for men and women. I met a woman named Secret up in Tinamaste on 90 acres, wielding a machete, gray hair, beautifully flowing. And this woman was just cutting stuff and had her farm and everything on her farm. She harvests everything. She doesn't buy anything externally. She's making sesame seed gamasos and she's thriving. And so I don't want this to think like, oh, it's a male thing. Like,
oh
no
yeah.
way. Like, this
Yeah,
is
anybody that's like rootsy, that wants to get, into the earth, get themselves like into nature and being in like some wilderness areas that are off grid, man, woman.
By the way, I'm laughing now because this is what's known as the Jewish goodbye. We take so long. Let me tell you something else about my Aunt Sally. Oh, man. Now, we'll do more of these, but I appreciate you sharing your wisdom, your experience. Love you, dude.
Love you.
Yeah.
Ciao, buddy.
Ciao, amigos.